My landlord knocked on my door on the 1st of October and asked me for my rent. I told him I needed 2 more weeks. He looked at me for a long moment, not with frustration, not with the impatience of a man who needs money, with something else, something that felt like calculation. And then he said, "I have another arrangement we can consider." I said, "What arrangement?" He said, "Your hair. Give me some of your hair and we will call it even for this month." I laughed. I thought he was joking. He was not joking. Before I tell you what happened after, let me tell you about my hair, because you need to understand what he was asking for. I have been growing my natural hair since I was 22. It took me 4 years to get it to where it was, thick, full, past my shoulders when stretched. It is the thing strangers comment on. It is the thing I spend Sunday mornings with. It is the thing that, when I cut it once for a style I regretted, I cried for 3 days. My hair is not vanity. My hair is the longest relationship of my adult life.
The
I had
exchange is
moved into the
brief
flat
and
8 months
ordinary.
earlier.
His
It was a good
expression is
flat,
pleasant.
clean,
Nothing is
quiet,
wrong. Yet,
reasonable rent for the area. Mr. Boniface owned the building and lived on the ground floor. He was present without being intrusive. He fixed things when asked. He said good morning when we passed in the compound. For 8 months, he was simply the landlord, a background figure, furniture almost. And then October came, and the rent was 2 weeks late, and he knocked on my door and asked me for my hair.
He asked for a lock of
I
my
closed
hair.
the door in his
My
face,
actual
not
hair,
rudely.
off my actual
I said,
head.
"Let me
That
think
man
about
is
it,"
not
which is what
well.
you say when you do not know how to say no to
I
your
can't
landlord's
believe
insane
you
request
did
while
this!
standing in your own
I'm
doorway.
sorry, I was just
I went
trying
to
to
Tessie's
help.
room
This is a
immediately.
disaster.
Tessie
You
was on her bed
Hepchi. I
watching
didn't
something
mean
on
for
her
this to
laptop.
happen.
I said,
Liar, you knew
"Tessie,
exactly
Mr.
what you
Boniface
were
just
doing.
asked me
Please
for my
just
hair
listen."
instead of rent." She took out one earphone. She said, "He asked you for what?" I said, "My hair." She said, "Your actual hair, off your actual head." I said, "Yes." She put the laptop down. She said, "Zara, that man is not well." We laughed about it that night. I want to be honest. We laughed. Because it was the kind of thing that is easier to laugh at than to sit with. We made tea and sat in the kitchen, and Tessie did impressions of Mr. Boniface asking for hair, and we laughed until we were tired. And then the laughter ran out the way laughter does when the thing underneath it has not changed. And Tessie said, "Zara, why does he want her hair? Not how, why?" And I did not have an answer. And the kitchen felt different after that question. I went
I
back
was
to Mr.
starting to get
Boniface the next
worried.
morning.
no
I
need.
told him I needed
Everything's
him to
fine now.
explain the arrangement.
I'm glad
I
you're
was
here.
calm. I had rehearsed
Zara, I
calm.
know you're hesitant,
He
but
smiled,
please trust
the
me on
same
this.
easy,
I want to,
unhurried
but
smile,
something feels
and said that
wrong.
he was someone who worked
Don't be
with
afraid.
natural things, and that hair was a natural thing, and that in his experience, hair from the right person could be, and he paused here and chose his word carefully, useful. I said, "Useful for what?" He smiled wider. He said, "For good things. Only good things. Don't be afraid." I left without giving him anything. That night, I searched online. I typed things I felt slightly foolish typing. Landlord asking for hair, hair in rituals, what is hair used for in traditional practices? And what came back was not foolish. What came back was pages and pages, and forum posts, and documented accounts from different countries, different cultures, different centuries. Hair, nails, blood, things from the body, used. And the word that appeared most consistently across all of it was the same word Mr. Boniface had used, useful. I called Uncle Isaac the next morning. Uncle Isaac is my mother's older brother, and he is the kind of man you call when you need someone who will not panic, will not dramatize, and will not tell you that you are being superstitious. He picked up on the second ring. He listened to the whole story without interrupting. When he finished, he said, "Where are you right now?" I said, "In my flat." He said, "Have you given him anything?" I said, "No." He said, "Good. Do not touch your hair until I get there." I said, "Uncle Isaac, you are 4 hours away." He said, "I know. Do not touch your hair." Uncle Isaac arrived the following evening. He did not come alone. He brought a woman I did not know, older, quiet, who he introduced only as someone who understands these things. Before he came inside, He stood at the compound entrance and looked at the building for a long time. Not at the building exactly, at something about it. Then he looked at Mr. Boniface's ground floor windows. And then he looked at me and said, "How long have you lived here?" I said, 8 months. He said, "And you have been well?" I thought about it. I said, "Mostly." He said, "Mostly." And he nodded like that was exactly what he expected me to say. Inside the flat, the older woman walked through every room slowly. She spent the longest time in my bedroom, specifically at my dressing table where I kept my hair products and my wide-tooth comb. She did not touch anything. She stood and looked. Then she came to the kitchen where Uncle Isaac and I were sitting, and she said, "There is a pull in this flat. It has been here for some time. It is not strong enough to harm directly. It is the kind that works slowly, that drains, that makes you tired in ways you cannot name, and small in ways you do not notice." And here is where I need to pause and speak to you directly, because if you are watching this and thinking, "I have felt that," tired in ways I cannot name, small in ways I did not notice, I need you to hear this. That feeling has a source. It always has a source. Sometimes the source is inside you, grief, burnout, the weight of an ordinary hard life. But sometimes the source is outside you, and the difference matters, because what comes from outside you can be addressed. If you have felt this, stay with me. Uncle Isaac explained what Mr. Boniface had been building. He said, "A man like that does not ask for hair because he is curious. He asks because hair is the most personal thing a person carries outside their body. It holds you, your growth, your decisions, your stress, your health. Every season of your life is in your hair if you know how to read it." He wanted a piece of you that would allow him to work on you from a distance. The rent was never the point. The rent was the reason to ask. I thought about the 8 months. Uncle Isaac had asked if I had been well, and I had said, "Mostly." And now I was sitting with what mostly meant. I had been tired in a background way, the kind of tired that you dismiss because you have reasons to be tired. Work, life, adulting. I had been smaller in my decisions, less certain, more hesitant, deferring things I would normally pursue without second thought. I had attributed all of it to my circumstances. The circumstances were real, but something had been feeding on them. The older woman spent that night in the flat. She and Uncle Isaac slept in the sitting room. Tessie, who had come home from her cousins and found 2 strangers in the flat, took it with remarkable composure. She simply said, "Good evening," made tea for everyone, and went to her room. That is Tessie. In the morning, the older woman began her work. I will not describe it fully. I will say it was quiet, it was methodical, and that at one point she opened every window in the flat, and something left that I had not known was present until the moment it was gone. Uncle Isaac spoke to Mr. Boniface that morning. I was not in the room. I do not know what was said. What I know is that Uncle Isaac came out after 11 minutes and said, "You will not be having any more trouble from that direction." He did not elaborate. Uncle Isaac is not a man who elaborates. What I know is that Mr. Boniface did not look at me directly for the remaining 3 weeks I lived in that building. He looked at the floor near my feet, every time. I moved out 3 weeks later, not in fear, in clarity. I moved because I understood that a space someone has worked on for 8 months does not become neutral overnight, and I deserved a home that had never been a project. I found a new flat in 3 days. Tessie came with me. On the day we moved in, I washed my hair first, before unpacking a single box. I stood in the new shower and I washed my hair, and I claimed the water and the drain and the space with my own hands. Tessie said I was being dramatic. She also washed her hair immediately after. So, I want to talk about what I have learned, and I want to do it in a way that is useful to you, not just as a story you have heard, but as a set of things you can carry. Because the reason I am telling you this is not so you can be frightened. The reason I am telling you this is so that the next time something feels wrong, in your home, with someone close to you, in the quiet of your own life, you have a framework. You have been given something to hold. That is what this story is for. First, your body is not a bargaining chip, not for rent, not for favor, not for anything. The moment someone frames your physical self, your hair, your nails, your blood, any part of you as something they want in exchange for something you need, that is the moment to leave the conversation and make a plan. There is no version of that request that is innocent. There is no version of that exchange that ends well for you. Walk away, tell someone, do not negotiate. Second, tiredness that has no clear source deserves investigation, not just acceptance. We are very good at explaining our own diminishment. Work is hard, life is busy, I'm just stressed. Sometimes that's true, but if you have been tired and small and hesitant for longer than your circumstances explain, ask the next question. What else could be causing this? What is in my environment? Who has access to my space? The question is not paranoia. The question is care. Third, know your family. Know who in your family is the Uncle Isaac. Every family has one who knows things other people do not know how to know. The person who asks the right questions in the right order. The person who shows up from 4 hours away without making it about themselves. Find that person before you need them. Tell them you know who they are. And when something happens that you can't explain, call them first. Fourth, when you move into a new space, claim it. With your presence, your habits, your rituals. Light your candles, cook your food, play your music, wash your hair in the shower and let the water run long. Make the space yours before anything else makes it something else. A home that knows you is harder to use against you. Occupy it fully. Do not be a guest in your own flat. Fifth, Tessie. I want to dedicate a lesson to Tessie, because Tessie is the reason I did not spiral. Every frightening thing is less frightening when someone sits at a kitchen table with you at midnight and makes tea and then asks the question that changes everything. Find your Tessie. Be someone's Tessie. The person who takes one earphone out and puts the laptop down and gives you their full attention, that person is worth almost anything. Do not take them for granted. And sixth, your hair is yours. Every part of your body is yours. Not a currency, not a resource, not a tool for someone else's work. When you grow something, your hair, your business, your peace, your life, you grow it for yourself and for the people you choose. Nobody is entitled to it. Nobody gets to frame their need as a reason for your sacrifice. What is yours is yours. Guard it like you know what it cost you to grow it. Because you do. You know exactly what it cost you.